Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis call, and this is in preparation for trading on January 31st, 2018. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for education purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. There seems to be a lot of volatility in the markets currently, so it is very, very important that our trade size is small and we're not taking too much risk on our trade. So that will be critical during this time, so please be mindful of that. All right, so let's go on to our Forex factory here to see what's going on. Tuesday, we had consumer confidence number, we had Carney. Okay, so it looks like Australian CPI here has come in negative. And coming up, so that was negative. CPI numbers are important. And then we have President Trump speaking in the evening here in just a little bit. So that will be his comments. So at this point, because nobody's really, only some people are trading, depending on what he says, I don't think he would say anything too critical, but his comments always, if he does mention Forex, his comments tend to drive the market. So I would be mindful of that. And it looks like Australian dollar took a hit as a result of the negative numbers, and the markets seem volatile even right now. So we just need to be careful with that. Okay, so coming up, Wednesday, big day here. And the most important things that we will have to look at here, one is flash CPI for the Eurozone. And then we have ADP non-farm employment change. So that usually has an impact on the market. Canadian GDP will have an impact on Canadian dollar there. But the most important thing tomorrow will be the FOMC statement. And so the market is really looking for direction from the bank to see, from Fed to see what their take on the market is now that we are seeing a change in leadership from the Fed. So their policy is likely to change as well. So let's see what that comes out as. We're not looking for an interest rate hike, but again, we expect a lot of volatility for the US dollar. That will be the most important thing to keep in mind for tomorrow. So that is definitely the Fed statement will be the most important thing. So let's go on to our charts and take a look at what's going on here. We have pound dollar. So a lot of things sort of turned around today. So let's take a look at where we are. So this is the level we were looking at, a 123.20 level, and it looks like instead of it kind of dropped, but then it pushed up fairly quickly from there and pushed up quite a bit. The daily close here is neutral, so very, very neutral close. Well, neutral to bullish, I would say. But very neutral in the sense that we have pins on both sides and very small candlestick here. And then we do have the FOMC coming up tomorrow. So again, it's important to be, the market seems volatile right now. There's no true direction in terms of the move here. We saw a move in both directions. So we just have to be careful when we are trading this, but the price can move quite suddenly. So that's important to keep in mind. So as far as this, I'm going to look at this as a range-bound market, because for the last few days we have kind of sat in this level, at this level. So over here now we have tested the bottom and we have pushed up higher. So this means that we could go higher, even higher from here. So this one, first target will be right about here, 1.2450 level. And then the second target will be 12500. Now, if the price is not able to break that, so let me just drop a line there. So if the price is not able to break above 124.50, then we can see a drop. So I'm looking for this type of a move. So the first test will be 124.50, and if the price manages to get through that level, then we're looking at 1.2500. So in terms of the bias, bullish to neutral. Pound dollar, let's take a look here. Pound, it came down, but then we saw a big, fairly rapid push to the upside. Now this looks like a fairly bullish candle. So I'm looking for a further move to the upside here, and target would be 1.4280 level to the upside. So that's what we need to keep in mind here. So we do have President Trump speaking in a little bit. So that could drive the market. So if he talks about economic conditions, or if he talks about how we are likely to see the dollar go up, that kind of stuff, that will have a positive impact on the US dollar, and we could see things basically react to what he has to say. So it looks like in anticipation of that speech here, we are seeing volatility in the market, but generally we don't see this kind of volatility. In the Asian session, generally the moves are a little bit slower, or the price moves a bit slower in the Asian session. But right now it seems a little jittery, and that's why, because we have his speech coming up. Okay, so in terms of the bias is to the upside. But again, with FOMC coming up and President Trump speaking, look for volatility in all the US dollar crosses here. Trump has been saying that he wants a weaker dollar for trade. The first time he actually changed his narrative was last week, when he actually said that he sees the US dollar strengthening. So Mnuchin had said at the World Economic Forum meetings that weaker dollar is good for the trade. We want to see a weaker dollar. However, so President Trump came back and actually said the opposite of what Mnuchin had said, and he said that he does see the US dollar strengthening. I think they're concerned that other countries may start blaming them for currency manipulation, which they are not supposed to be doing. Nobody's supposed to be doing, but they all do it. So I think the comments may have been coming out as a result of that, but President Trump's stance on the US dollar has been to weaken it. The first day he came into the office, he started talking down the US dollar, because when the US dollar is lower, the exports are higher. People want to import more stuff from the US, so US is able to export stuff. So let's see what he has to say now, because whatever he says will have an impact. If he talks about the economy, if he talks about the dollar, we should see a reaction in the markets as a result of that. Aussie here, Aussie is bearish here. I'm looking for price to drop into the 0.8020 area, the bottom here. So this for now is bearish. It's not hugely bearish. We haven't seen a big engulfing candle like this. These are very small candles, so it's more like a pullback. At least the price action right now looks more like a pullback. So I'm looking for price to drop into this 80-20 level, and then we will see what happens, because for the other two, euro, it pushed off from there. Same thing with pound. It came into this previous support level here and then pushed off of that. So now looking for a drop here in Aussie into 80-20, and then we'll see where what that does. So as we can see here, we are seeing this head and shoulders type of formation. So we have head in the middle, shoulder on the side. So this is generally a reversal signal to the downside. So I'm looking for price to drop into this previous support resistance area, which is our 80-20-ish level here. So that's the bias, is to the downside for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar here, we have a very, very neutral close, just like the euro. And in this case, we did come down, and then the price sort of pushed off of that level fairly quickly as well. So right now, this looks like a bullish to neutral because of the pins. So in this case, I am looking for a move into the top of this this range where price has been for the last few days. So looking at 0.7390, so about 7,400 will be the target here. And this is what it looks like here. We did come into this support, this previous support resistance, and we have pushed off of that. And now the price is staying above the pivot point, which means chances are it's going to go higher. And the target would be about 7,400 here, 0.7400, which is also our S2 level. So right now that looks bullish. So that's so bias is bullish to neutral for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here. Dollar CAD going sideways, very neutral close for the day. Price opened and closed at exactly the same level. So there doesn't seem to be momentum, too much momentum to either side. So first we need to see a break. So we have seen price drop here a fair bit, and Bank of Canada raised their rates. And now there hasn't been that much of a reaction to the interest rate hike because I think a lot of that was already priced in. So ideally from that perspective, we could see a double bottom type formation in this. So if the price does not break 122.80 level, we could get, in this case, we could get an opportunity to maybe take a longer term trade back into this area. But again, we'll have to see how price reacts. So right now, I'm looking for price to do a drop into 122.80 area. Now, first, my base case scenario will be for the price to bounce off. However, we do have this drop right here as well. So if it does break down, then we could see a move like that. So we'll just have to see how price reacts at the bottom of the range here. And if it bounces off of that, then we're looking for price to go into the top of the range. And if it breaks out from that, then we're looking for price to go higher. So at this point, we'll just have to wait and see. Right now, it looks like it's just trying to go lower there. Okay, so Euro Swiss franc is starting to go sideways here. We have seen a big drop and now it's going sideways. So if Euro starts to push up higher, then we can see this one go higher as well. So right now our bias for Euro is bullish to neutral. So if Euro turns bullish, now this is going to turn bullish as well. So since we have hit the bottom here, we have seen a double bottom and price hasn't really broken down. It could go upwards here. So we have a small daily candle formation which kind of followed this neutral stance here. So right now it is sideways. This is probably not the best one to trade. We could see my bias would be for the price to go test the higher here, 1.1640 level, which will be the top of the pin. So that's the move that I am anticipating here. And then we'll have to see what happens at the top here. So now, since we do have FOMC, a lot of times pairs could go sideways ahead of FOMC. So just be mindful of that. Pound Swiss franc. This one is a bullish pin bar. So looking for a further move to the upside. First target would be 1.3250, which is not that far. Second target would be 1.3320-ish level back into this previous support resistance level. But here, this is looking like a bullish pin bar, so looking for price to move up higher. So the bias is to the upside. A dollar Swiss franc here, it's still weighed down. So looks like we're kind of pushing to the downside here. We've had a drop and now we are consolidating. So see how we had a drop and then we had this sort of consolidation to the downside. So price broke to the downside and now we're seeing this consolidation, which means price could do another breakout and we could see price move lower here, and 91.50 will be the target to the downside. But again, we'll have to see price break down below this support. So right now it's just sitting at support, kind of like what it did here. That's what it's doing. So once the price breaks down, then it could go to the next level, which is, actually, it may not be that one. So 92.60 or 92.50 will be the first target. So let's say 92.60 here, this one right here. So that will be the first target to the downside. But again, we have to see a break before we can take that trade. And then the second target will be the one that we were looking at before. So bias for this one to the downside, but the contingency will be the support. We are into some significant support there. Pound CAD, we have seen a bullish engulfing candle here, so which means we could see the price move higher. And in this case, our target would be about there. So 1.7535 area, which is this support and resistance level. So I'm looking for price to move up higher. But again, because we have all that volatility going on with the US dollar, I would keep an eye on it because if pound starts dropping against the US dollar, that will translate into weakness against other currencies as well. Just like we have been seeing the volatility kind of move through the market in all kinds of different currencies. So that's what I'd be looking at. Pound yen had turned very bullish today. It dropped into our support area here. Unfortunately, it dropped overnight, so we couldn't really take advantage of this, and then it turned around. So this looks like a big bullish pin bar here as well. So for this one, I'm looking for price to move up higher. And in terms of the target, so the first target, so we could go all the way to 155.20 area, but the first target would be into this here 154.60 area to the upside. So that will be the first target. And then once the price gets through that, so if this happens, then we are likely to see the price come back. But once price gets through, we could go higher like that. So for now, the target is a 154.60 level. Euro yen here, that's a doji here as well. We saw price come into this support area and then pushed off of that. Right now, things are sort of in limbo. Right now, my bias will be to the upside because price has been sitting in this range for some time. We are into support here, so I'm looking for price to move up higher. But I think a lot of it is just driven by the US dollar. It's the US dollar weakness that came just across the board. We saw US dollar weakness, and US dollar just got hammered today. So as a result of that, we saw big moves in euro and pound. So that could drive the markets here as well. Once we start seeing buying against one currency, it just sort of translates into other as well. So FOMC as well as President Trump's speech will have an impact, so keep that in mind. But for now, my bias is to the upside, and the target for this one would be 136.00 would be my target to the upside here. Aussie yen is holding this range here. So this is looking weaker actually. So I'm looking for price to drop. So our target yesterday was 87.65 level. So we kind of went through there. Next one is 87.20. So I'm looking for price to come into this lower level here. So the bias is to the downside for Aussie yen. Dollar yen is displaying the similar behavior to our Swiss franc, dollar Swiss franc here. In this case, we saw a drop here, and then we saw this consolidation and another drop, and that's what we are seeing right now. So this is what we saw, sort of like that, another drop, and now we are seeing consolidation, and that's the type of move that I'm looking for. So the bias in this one is to the downside. As long as price stays below 109.20, I'm looking for a move to the downside here. So I'm looking for that move. First target would be 108.30 level, and then once we see a break, we are looking at a 107.20 level for the target. So that's all I have. Any questions or anything to add? All right, if not, so we'll call it a wrap, and that's it. Okay, so we'll call it a wrap, and I will see you guys in the London session at 3 a.m. Eastern. Bye for now.